Welcome to another breakdown. James DeLacy here from Sweet Science of Fighting. This is by request. Alex Volkanovski's strength conditioning. It seems like there's actually a few breakdowns of his strength conditioning already online, but I'll take you through a couple of videos. One from 2 years ago, I think that has most of his strength conditioning routine in there. And then one from 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, depending on when this goes up, of his fight preparation for his upcoming fights. So let's jump straight into that. So it looks like we're at a rugby league field there. I spent a lot of my time working in rugby league. Great sport. Great similar demands to fighting in terms of what you're training, which is really nice. 4 weeks until fight. This is 8 a.m. Looks like just doing some mobility to warm up, just some general hip openers. Actually, I usually use quite a bit. I haven't done these in a long time. It actually reminds me to bring it back. These were all the rage. If you ever followed Mobility WOD, Kelly Steroid back in the day, the supple leopard stuff. This stuff feels really good when you're doing this before training. You can also do it dynamically, so do this, but then do like 10 split squats or Bulgarian split squats. Yeah, nice way to open the hips before training this one. You could say static stretching before training is not a good thing. However, most people, or I think everyone, is not just doing this and holding this for 10 minutes, then going straight into some explosive movement. You're typically doing something like this, then doing some other more dynamic exercise. So I wouldn't worry about that. All right, so then we got banded shuffles. This is nice. I like this for developing a lateral speed and power. So you can use the band to essentially overload the hips for lateral movement. Obviously, in combat sports, especially MMA, it's not just forward and back movement, it's multi-directional. So being able to move quickly side to side and have the condition to do it, it's always good. Looks like then we've got some jump assessments. So if you're not familiar with something like this, this is a jump mat, and I think this one is from Just Jump specifically. So let me go back to that. So the numbers on the screen there should be jump height. I don't think there's much more to this one. Yeah, so this one will be, I'm sure, based on this specific model, I've used a similar one. So this one should probably just give jump height in centimeters or inches, depending where you are in the world. And you can use this in a few different ways. One, you're going to assess readiness of an athlete. So every week you would do some form of jumps, see how it compares to, say, a rolling average of the past few weeks. And, if it's really down, the athlete might not be recovering, as an example. However, jump height can be manipulated quite easily through different jump strategies, which makes it, by jump strategies, I mean, you can go down faster, slower, deeper, shallower, etc. And you can still get similar jump heights or jump higher, but doesn't give you the data if the athlete is ready or recovered. So there's a lot of nuance in there, but however, it's a very simple, low-cost way to measure readiness. It's one way of doing it. You can also use it as just to measure progress over time. So for example, you might do bodyweight jumps, and he's doing trap bar jumps with, it looks like about 40 kilos. And you can just track that throughout an entire year if you wanted, as an easy way to see if you are getting stronger and more powerful. You don't need to do a bunch of random tests every 8 weeks or every 12 weeks and waste a whole day of doing some kind of testing, or and then obviously waste the few days after that from being fatigued from that testing. You can just monitor throughout the training cycle and not have to do any specific testing days. So you could just do this once a week, where it looks like he's doing bodyweight jump and then 40 kilo trap bar jump, and you just track jump height every week and just see that hopefully it's trending up in the long term. And if it's trending up in the long term, it means you're likely getting stronger and more powerful, and that's pretty much the outcomes you want out of your strength and conditioning program. Another way you could use something like this is to create like a load velocity profile. So you can, typically you would want something that's going to give you more than just jump height. So typically you're looking at something that's going to give you jump kinetics, which are things like force, velocity, power, etc. And you just do jumps at different loads. As an example, here you might do body weight 40 kilo, or just the trap bar, like 20 kilos, 40 kilos, 60 kilos, 80 kilos as an example. And you just plot that graph and then see where that fits on a line. And you can see which loads maximize peak power, etc. And you can train at optimal power load. Again, there is I wouldn't say controversy, but there's different trains of thoughts around that. Do you train an optimal power load where you maximize power to improve power development, or do you train above and below so you can get maximum speeds and maximum forces, etc., to improve maximal power? Again, there's just differing philosophies. I tend to fall around, you can train the entire spectrum, but you're looking as an MMA fighter or combat athlete, or say specifically MMA, you want to train across the whole spectrum, because you're having to, one, have the speed to throw quick strikes, shots, etc. You need the strength for the grappling aspect, and obviously that middle range for power development, because you have to manipulate other human beings as well. So you're not just throwing strikes with low load, you have to manipulate human beings in your same weight class. So training across the spectrum is always a good idea, but there are different methods to doing it all. So that's all the jumps. Looks like, I don't know if he had more weight on that one, so it might have been actually a full profile on that one. I should actually put the captions on. So now onto running stairs. I think he was saying, okay, no, that's just for the thing before. Running stadium stairs. Yep. So it looks like this is like part of his speed power, almost you could say primer, as part of the session warm-up, which is quite nice. So they go from inside, they start with a general warm-up, they go into lateral band shuffles, which kind of it addresses the things that are probably not going to get addressed within the main training program, which is good. Straight into the jump testing and profiling, which is good because they're already warm and ready to go. And then into their main speed power movement, which is running the stairs. And now they're getting into their main weight room movements here. So it looks like they're doing a landmine press, or explosive landmine press. And now we've got some explosive hip thrusts. It's funny, the hip thrust has also been shat on recently as well. I don't know why. I actually really like the movement. I really like the movement, especially for athletes, and obviously for people trying to grow their ass too, but especially for athletes, because it's not so taxing in terms of the fatigue you generate for later sessions. So as an example, when I was working with a team and we had a couple of weeks to prepare for some of the biggest matches, I would just load heavy hip thrusts because I know I could get a huge strength stimulus on the lower body. I can add eccentric overload by having a partner push on it, and I know that they're not going to be sore, tired, and fatigued compared to doing very heavy squats, as an example. But as well within obviously MMA, being able to do hip bridge and have powerful hips is an important component for striking and for the grappling aspect. Then it looks like we're going to have some weighted pull-ups. Again, this should be a staple within your training. Superset with some dumbbell split squats, so getting some single leg work in there. Just a nice little superset because it just means you save time and don't have to spend more time in the gym. It looks like it actually looks like it's a one big circuit, is it? Hip thrust, weighted pull up, split squat, maybe. I'm not too sure. Oh, plus the oh no, something different now. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm not too sure. So we have like a landmine press rotation. So what I like about the execution of this is he's using his hips, and that's so there are a couple of different ways you can do it. I think actually if you search landmine rotation on YouTube, I think my video is like the 5th one or something like that. It's had a lot of views. I explain doing a landmine rotation by using the hips, and it's probably my favorite way of doing it, favorite way of prescribing it. But there are other ways you can do it where you keep your body locked stiff and you're just moving your arms and your trunk has to resist the rotation. Time and place for both. I think if you go listen to one of the earlier Sweet Times Fighting podcasts, again on a new channel, Sweet Times Fighting podcast channel, Aaron Callett, he I think it was episode 4, he was the strength conditioning coach for the Australian cricket team. And he talks about, you can use both. One's kind of more, you can almost use one as an anti-rotation component and then progress to something like this where you're using the hips as well. It's a nice little power development. So this is 4 weeks out, I think I mentioned, so that's perfect timing for it. Chest supported rows, and that's done. That's a nice session. So this is 4 weeks out from UFC 266. Again, the best thing about it is that there's nothing that's going to create crazy fatigue going into his later sessions that day. This is in the morning, so I'm assuming he's probably got technical training later that evening. None of this would really create that much fatigue. It was lowish volume, power-based movements that aren't going to create a lot of fatigue, which is nice, and something that you should think about when you are designing or performing your own strength conditioning leading up to a fight, is picking exercises that aren't going to create a lot of fatigue and manipulating the volumes to ensure that's not going to happen. Now I'm going to go into the next video. So this is 2 weeks fight camp. So this was a few weeks ago. So there's only a small clips of what's going on here. So we have lateral jump into like a vertical, or lateral hop into a vertical jump. With that, some seated cable rows. We have some safety squat bar split squats, which is really nice. So if you're going to get a specialty bar for if you have a home gym for whatever reason, safety squat bar is perfect, especially for combat athletes. If you have busted shoulders, elbows, and wrists, get one of these for your lower body work. And again, same hip thrusts, same landmine punching stuff. So this is 2 years later doing a lot of the same exercises, and it just goes to show, like, you don't need to do a whole lot of random stuff all the damn time. A lot of the basic exercises work, and you're going to use them throughout your entire training career. You're just going to manipulate the other variables around it, maybe how you do it, the intensity of it, the volume, etc., etc. So nice little hip opener. This is the lateral skater to vertical jump, nothing wrong with that. Landmine, looks like a half kneeling landmine press. Some underhand pull downs. What else we got going in here? I think we have some more. So single leg broad jump. Nice. He does quite a bit of one-legged work, which you don't always see a lot of athletes doing, which is good. You want to have some kind of single leg, single arm work within your training, not just bilateral or two arm work, just for general health, and there's still performance benefits to that. Again, hip thrusts, landmine presses, and that was it. Relatively simple. A lot of the same exercises as 2 years ago. There's not much really to add to this, other than it's a pretty well balanced program. I think this is a different day, this one. So outside of that, there's not much else to say. It's pretty good training. More power speed based. I think Alex, coming from a rugby league background as well, probably gives him a bigger edge to other combat athletes into what he can actually do in the gym, since rugby league players typically start in the gym relatively young. You have academies in Australia and New Zealand that are contracting players at 15 years old, and a lot of them even earlier in the gym as part of academies as well. So they get training at a very young age, and then they develop a pretty high training age relatively quickly. They can get brutally strong. So having that background obviously helps them with a lot of this stuff too, versus another combat athlete or MMA fighter that maybe has only started lifting weights later into their career. So bear that in mind if you're watching this, wondering what you can do. If you have the background, cool. If you don't have the background, you might have to ease into it and start, I guess, regressed or a little low. Obviously, the Sweet Science Finding Underground can help you there, so check that down in the description. But I'll catch you in the next video.